Let's add custom block drops via loot tables to our NeoForge 26.1 project. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, we found ourselves back in Intelligence once more, and in this tutorial we'll be adding custom loot tables, basically meaning finally our custom blocks will actually drop something proper over here, which is going to be very interesting indeed. Now for this, we are going to use all of this in Datagen, of course, because loot tables are defined via JSON files, as are the tags where we need to add our blocks to, which is, well, needed for the requires correct tool for drops method, because we basically need to define what is the type of tool that this can be mined with. So in our case, all of our blocks will be mineable with a pickaxe, and also at what tier can they be mined with. So for example, iron, diamond, stone, that sort of idea here in this case. So for this, in the Datagen package, we're going to make two new Java classes. The first one is going to be the mod block loot table provider. There we go. That's the first one. And the second one is the mod block tags provider. There we go. We will start with the tags, as this is like easier, and also it's explained quite easily. So the idea of tags is that tags are a collection of blocks, items, entities, anything that can be added to Minecraft, and this is a collection of them. So tags have certain combined sort of purposes or features or something like that. In our case, these are going to be block tags, so the mod block tags provider will extend from the block tags provider. I'm going to hover over this to implement the add tags method, hover over this again, create constructor matching super, and of course we can delete the mod ID here because, well, we know what our mod ID is. It is tutorial mod.mod ID, very straightforward. Now in the add tags method, here is where we call the tag method, which needs a tag key. So this is going to be block tags dot, that you can see Mineable with pickaxe is the one that we want to add our custom tags to, blocks to, and that's going to be modblocks dot azurite block over here. Let's say, no, not blocks, the azurite block. Yeah, there we go, dot get. And then we can just duplicate this a couple of times for the raw block, for the ore right here. This is going to be the normal ore. Then we get the deep slate ore, then the nether ore, and finally we also will get the end ore as well. There we go. So those are now all mineable with a pickaxe. They would be mineable with a stone, even a wood pickaxe, and it would drop something once we add the loot table. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but theoretically that would work. If we now also want to say, hey, you know what, I actually want to have some of them be restricted to a certain level of tool, no worries at all. We call the tag method block tags dot, and then here needs underscore diamond, iron, and stone tool. If we say that a certain thing needs the iron tool, it can be mined with the iron tool and above. So anything above the iron tool, so that means diamond and in theory also netherite would also work. Please do note that. So here, for example, we could say that, I don't know, deep slate can only be mined with iron. Don't forget to call the .get method right here. And then we could theoretically duplicate this for the diamond tool, right? Needs diamond tool. And then maybe we can say that the, I don't know, the end ore over here needs the diamond tool. There are also, and I think so, tags dot blocks, yeah, dot. Is there a needs gold, netherite, and wood tool? So those are from NeoForge itself. So you can take a look at those as well. Those should be properly added as well. So that's going to be fine. So we can do, let's say the, now let's say the end ore needs the netherite tool. And let's actually say the diamond one is needed by the nether one. Yeah. Let's do that. There we go. So there are a couple of tags from NeoForge as well, which is interesting to take a look at over here, which also, of course, do some things. But in this case, that's going to be the three different sort of tiers that are, well, that we have in this case. And then those are going to be mineable with a pickaxe, and then defined what the tier of tool is that you need. The mod tags provider, well, that's super easy in the Datagen right here. We can simply add this, so you can see that it takes in a output as well as a lookup provider. So we do still need the lookup provider, but that's going to be very, very straightforward. So below the output over here, we'll make a var because it's going to be, it looks crazy. This is the lookup provider equal to the event.get lookup provider. So very straightforward. And the reason why I'm using the var here is because this is a completable feature of holder lookup.provider. And it's like, why type all of that stuff out? Not needed. Generator.addProvider with a true right here, and then a new mod block tags provider passing in the pack output, and then the lookup provider. And just like that, bada bing, bada boom, the block tags are added. But we are not done even by a little bit, because the next thing is the mod block loot table provider. This will extend from the block loot sub provider. Hovering over this to implement the generate method. Hover over this again, create constructor matching super. First thing, we want to make the super public over here. We want to remove the first two entries in the constructor, replace the super call here with a set.of, and then the enable features is going to be feature flags flags. And there are two more important things that we need to do, or I mean one more important thing. That is, we want to override the get known blocks method. Now this one is very important, so don't forget this. And also, I'll explain what we're doing here. So I'm going to return something and then explain it. We'll return modblocks.blocks. So this is the deferred register .get entries .stream. So we're turning the entries into a stream. We'll call the map method and then pass in holder : value and then : iterator. And that's it. Now, you might say, what in the actual frick is this? Not to worry. The idea is as follows. I told you before that the blocks deferred register can be considered a list of our blocks that we've custom registered, okay? Just as an abstraction. And we're now getting all of those blocks over here, turning it into a stream and saying basically, hey, I want to get the values of those, right, via the holder value right here. We're mapping each of our deferred blocks to a block and then getting an iterator out of this. What does that mean? We're basically just converting the list, quote unquote, of our blocks into a data type that this class can use. That's really all that's going on over here. If this is like a little bit, if you're like, oh, what the heck is going on? You really don't need to like fully understand it. The point is that we're basically just turning our custom blocks into a data type that this class can use. Now, why do we need to do this? We need to give it all of the blocks that are known, because every single block in our custom blocks right here has to have a loot table. Unless, and this is also very important, if you don't want your block to have a loot table, you can call the no loot table method right here, and then it's not going to scream if it doesn't have a loot table. Otherwise, you have to give it a loot table. We'll see this in a second. Let's first of all have it drop itself. We just call the drop self method and pass in modblocks.azroidBlock.get. Done. Now the Azroid block is going to drop itself. Now that's really freaking simple and that's really nice. Now for the raw one, I'm going to comment this out specifically so that I can show you the error that is going to appear if the block isn't part of this. So that's the idea. And then let's see. So we're going to call the add method for the other ones, because let's think about another thing. What about the ors? Well, wait a second. An or doesn't drop itself. It can, but only if you mine it with exactly select touch. Otherwise, it's going to drop the raw, not the raw Azroid block, but the raw Azroid item. So here, for other things, we call the add method, passing in the block that we want to define this for. So this would be the Azroid or.get. And then the second parameter is the create or drop method, where we pass in the original or block. This is the or.get. And then the second one is the item that it drops. This is raw Azroid.get. Boom. So far, that is fairly straightforward. Now we can do the same thing, let's say for the deep slate or, changing this to deep slate or as well. That's all fine. But what if I want my, let's say, end or and nether or to actually drop a couple more raw Azroid? Similar to, let's say, how lapis and or redstone works, or copper. Well, there are, if we take a look at this, there are some, copper, lapis, redstone or drops methods. However, if we go in, control left click or middle mouse button click, also you can attach sources and then it should format this a little bit nicer. We can see that those are sadly hard-coded, meaning the item here is hard-coded and the number of drops is also hard-coded. Now, what shall we do? Well, I mean, we can just copy this over. So we selected over here in the block loot subprovider, and we copy this over right here, and this is going to override that particular method, as you can see. However, we actually don't want to override it because I actually want to change this, right? So the block still stays the same, but we now will also be able to define an item, as well as a float right here, which is the min drops, and a float, which is the max drops. Do we necessarily need to basically copy this over? Yes, if you want to have this particular way of having something drop, then yes, this is the create multiple ore drops, where we now, of course, change the item's raw copper to the item parameter over here, and then here change it to the min drops, here to the max drops, and then I'm just going to format this slightly differently. You know, this is not strictly necessary, but that is going to be fine. There we go. So this is formatted a little bit differently. And now we have ourselves a custom create multiple ore drops method, which is going to work exactly the same way that lapis, redstone, or copper is going to drop. However, this is the cool thing. It is now going to drop with whatever item and however many we define right here, which is really cool. It also normally applies the ore bonus. I can tell you, if you have any custom block that you want to drop similar or the same way that it drops in vanilla, literally go to the block loot subprovider class, go through this. Here is every method basically sort of registered and seen. Some of them, as you can see, get very complicated, but generally speaking, you can absolutely do that, and that's totally fine. So here, what we can do now is we can call for the modblocks.netherore.get. We're going to call the create multiple ore drops, passing in, of course, the block itself. So this is going to be the netherore.get. And then the item still remains the raw azurite over here. And then let's say this drops between, I don't know, 4 and 7. And for the sake of argument, on the end ore, changing both of those to the end ore, of course, then this is going to be, I don't know, between like 5 and 9 or something crazy like that. Of course, when it comes to the numbers, always test out. You can change those at any time, just literally change them, run Datagen again, and then you have them changed in the JSON file as well. So there's nothing, no issue with that whatsoever. But yeah, that is the whole idea, and this is why the vanilla loot stuff here is like super useful. Highly, highly recommended to take a look at that for, to basically copy over some of the helper methods. That's very, very useful. Now that is the modblock loot table provider basically done. So we can go on to the Datagen class again, and now this is going to look a little bit different because this is, well, maybe you've seen this from the name. This is a block loot sub provider. Yes. So this is going to look a little bit different. This is going to be generator at provider true. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a new, and this is going to be a new loot table provider, passing in the pack output as well as collections.emptySet, then comma, a list.of, and now a new, and it actually suggests this was a new loot table provider, that sub provider entry, passing in modblock loot table provider : new, comma, loot context param sets dot block, and then after the second closing parentheses, the lookup provider, and there we go, and we have it done. Now you might say, Kaupenjoe, what in the actual frick is this? The idea is as follows. There are multiple parameter sets of loot tables that exist. So obviously loot tables can be used for blocks, but wait a second, they can be used for chests. So this would be loot chests. They could even, in theory, apparently be used for villager traits. I'm not 100% sure if this is 100% accurate, but okay. They can be used for fishing, 100%, right? They can be used for entities. So this would mean that you have, when you kill a cow, that's also a loot table, and you can have the same thing for archaeology, piglin bartering, even the vaults over here. So many, many different things use loot tables. And that's why there is a loot table provider, which actually takes in a list of all of the sub-providers that exist, and there are quite a few. So there's vanilla loot tables, and you can see those are all of these sub-providers over here. So, entity, equipment, blocks, gift, there's fishing, block interaction, entity interaction. So there's quite a few cheering loot even. I mean, the fact that that's its own thing is kind of crazy, but still, that is all defined right here. So just keep that in mind, that is the idea, and that's why we have this a little bit of a more crazy thing to add. So if we were to add, custom loot table to, entities or anything like that, then we would of course add it to the list right here of custom loot table provider sub provider entries. With that being said, now we can run the Datagen, and what we're going to find is we're going to get a deliberate error, or I mean, we're going to get an error because I didn't add a loot table to the raw Azerite block. And the error is going to look exactly like this. We're missing a loot table for a specific block right here. And this block, it basically tells you, so it literally tells you exactly what the error is. We're missing a loot table because we haven't defined it. So if you ever get this, that means that of the list of your known blocks, you did not add a loot table for this block. Now we have two ways to solve it. If you say this block shouldn't drop anything, that's fine. We can just go on here and, like I said, call the no loot table method. We run Datagen again. Now there's going to be no error because the raw Azerite block has the no loot table called, so everything is fine. Now if we don't have this called, we run it again, we're going to get the same error because the no loot table is not called, so we can see we're still missing the loot table. Very easy fix then is just add a drop itself, boom, we run data again, and now it's going to work, and we have everything generated. Under generated resources, we go to tutorial mode loot tables blocks, and there are all of our loot tables. This is the raw Azerite, very straightforward when it comes to loot tables that are for ourselves, right? For like just dropping itself is actually not that crazy. However, when we get to things like the nether ore over here, where first of all on Silk Touch you drop the block itself, and then there's a uniform distribution over here, applying an ore drop bonus if fortune is applied, and then it drops a raw Azerite. It gets a little bit more complicated. And of course, you wouldn't type this out every time. You would, at the very least, copy over the file, change the names. But because you have, multiple sort of places where you have to change the names over here, it can sometimes be a little bit too much. So in my opinion, just having this line or this line, one helper method over here. Like imagine you had like 20 different ores, right? I mean, it's just so easy. You just add those, boom, boom, boom. Bada bing, bada boom, and you're good to go. When it comes to the tags, right, this was the thing that we've added right here in the beginning. That is under data and then Minecraft, and you can see that those are under the Mineable. Now, tags are super easy. They're literally just a list of values over here, in this case of the blocks. So super simple. The same thing, the NeoForge tag for the netherite tool, which is the end ore right here. So all of those are totally fine, very straightforward, and that is basically that. Now with all of those added, now we can finally jump into the game and actually mine our blocks for the first time, so let's see. Alright, finally back in Minecraft, and let's just take a look over here, set down a couple of blocks, and let's just see what we can find. So first of all, of course, very important, switch to survival mode. I've seen a couple of people stay in creative and be like, why doesn't anything drop over here? Well, I mean, obviously that would be the case. Let's see. So this one over here, we can mine with the stone pickaxe because the block of Azerite, well, we actually didn't define any sort of restrictions there, but for the ore, not at all either. So that's fine. For the deep slate, however, we need at least the iron pickaxe. So if I try to use the stone right here, we can already see it definitely takes quite a bit longer, and we should find that nothing drops over here. There we go. It doesn't. However, the iron one, boom, it drops something absolutely fantastic. This is not going to drop anything either because this needs diamond. There we go. And diamond works. And then this one doesn't work with diamond because we've made it with the NeoForge tag for netherite. And if I use netherite, boom, then it drops something. I mean, absolute friggin' cinema. And that is block drops added to our blocks. Freaking awesome, man. Obviously, when it comes to loot tables, they can get incredibly complicated, right? I mean, you've literally seen these ones already, and they can get way, way more complicated. I highly recommend you check out the ones from vanilla. Those are always one of the best places to take a look at. Obviously, you have the block loot sub-provider, which offers you some of the methods over there, which is pretty freaking cool. But regardless, that's going to be it for this tutorial right here. As per usual, all of the code is available to you down below in the description. And next time, we'll talk about custom recipes. Until then, so yeah.